If your turn sequence is the heart of this game, actions are the blood pumping through it. As previously mentioned, they come in two variations. Fast actions are normally 2 in a single activation, and slow actions are only 1 per activation. Fast actions can be done in any order or combination of the following. This includes doing the same action twice. These actions are: Activate Ability. Any abilities on your unit sheet should have passive or active. Passive is always going or will trigger when applicable, and active takes a fast action to turn on or off. There are a few abilities that take a slow action to use, but they'll be listed in the ability notes. Idle. Idle lets a unit do nothing. It literally forfeits the action. This has a ton of different uses in battle. You can hold down a position, lure an enemy into close combat, or set up for a shot. I'd argue that you truly understand the game when you know how to turn idling into your best action. Quick Reload. You cannot perform shooting actions if your weapon has not been reloaded after firing. This kinda comes off as a no-brainer, but after you fire any weapon with a reload tag, you need to reload before it can fire again. Weapons will have RQ for Quick Reload if they only need a fast action to reload. This reloads weapon with this tag unless you've sustained heavy arm damage, which then turns it into a slow reload. I actually didn't know this, but reload actions only reload one weapon at a time. And I guess I got used to playing Battle Alliance and thought it would just completely load me back up all at once. Switch Weapon. I talked a little while ago about weapons being considered carried or mounted. Mounted weapons are things attached to the unit and are always considered equipped. Carried weapons are only 2 per deployment, and only 1 is considered equipped at any given time under normal circumstances. You start the battle equipped with the carried weapon of your choice and can swap freely from there on. I'll remind you of this later, but you also get 1 free melee weapon that doesn't count towards the carried weapon limit. Oh, your shield is also considered equipped if you have one or until it breaks, but more on that later. Movement. Semi-last, but definitely not least, movement. You can consider movement your unit's running speed. Movement can be performed in a straight line originating from your vision radius. Remember that from the previous model basing video? Yeah, of course you do. You can stop short of your maximum movement speed if you want. Just make sure your units are clear of each other's bases, if you have them. Or, just try not to have them standing on top of each other. Personal space, all that good stuff. If you wish to move outside of this radius, you may rotate your unit in any direction at the cost of some of your base movement. So moving beyond your vision cone but less than 90 degrees from the direction that your unit was facing will cost you 2 inches of movement. Moving beyond 90 degrees will cost you 4 inches of movement. If this ever reduces your movement to 0 inches or less, just keep turning until you're satisfied with the direction that you're facing, and then stop the movement action. If you want to move after that, you'll need to perform another movement action. Alright, here comes the complicated stuff. This is some important stuff you need to remember about moving. You need to end your movement action facing the point that you were moving towards. This means that you need to start and stop your movement facing in the same direction after you turn. No slight turns once you start moving. If a unit uses a movement action to enter the close combat area of an enemy, it counts as a charge action. We'll talk a bit more about this during the close combat, because I have some stuff to say. Movement must always be in a straight line. This jumps back to the first point. It's just easier to have units travel in one direction when they move, since this game doesn't work on a grid. I actually tried doing some maneuverability stuff, and it was a nightmare for the average person. Just know that this is for the sake of simplicity. You cannot move through enemies, only allies. You should never stop a movement within an enemy's personal space. This can differ from unit to unit, especially if you're using bases or not. Try to keep them reasonably spaced so you can move them without an issue. For enemies, absolutely keep out of close combat distance when you end your movement. You cannot move through any cover that's more than half the height of your unit with a regular movement action. If you need to get specific, then break out the ruler, there's no problem. Only units with the amphibious ability may move through water terrain without any downsides. They're also the only units that can enter deep water without boosting over it, and they can end their turns in there. Right, now is also a really good chance for us to go over terrain types. So this is what you need to know along with movement. So, damage to your unit, rotation penalties, and terrain penalties all stack against your unit's movement speed, but they can never reduce it to less than 1 inch under any normal circumstances. Terrain comes in 4 types, and most of them are bad for you. This is amazingly accurate, as most mobile suits have trouble with non-basic footing. Normal. This includes plains, fields, roads, concrete, and the vacuum of space. Nothing happens, you can just treat movement as normal. Difficult. This includes trenches, shallow water, woods, hills, ruins, marshes, narrow spaces, and former pieces of colonies. Oh, I'm sorry, this classifies it as space debris. All units' base movement speed is reduced by half when moving into, within, and out of this terrain. It does not specify rounded up or down. I usually round up because I'm evil. Dangerous. This includes minefields, asteroid belts, open flames, and unstable debris. I assume they mean like crumbling buildings and the like with unstable debris. Much like the previous terrain, all movement is halved. If you end your movement on top of this terrain, the unit takes 1 point of integrity damage. Honestly, depending on the spot, it can be completely worth it. Sheer. This is the really bad stuff. This one includes cliffs, canyons, ravines, deep water, and atmospheric reentry. So you actually can't use a movement action to move through any of this terrain at all. You have to use a boost action to even cross it, and you cannot stop on top of it. If you somehow end up on top of it, I'll leave that up to your playgroup. Vehicles that lack a boost ability also can't enter these types of terrains unless they have amphibious for deep water or they're airborne for atmosphere. It's weird, the rulebook says air units can enter the atmosphere, but it only refers to the atmosphere when talking about space battles. I think they might have originally meant like a super high altitude, but I can only really interpret it as re-entry. We actually have one more fast action to go over, but it's like the biggest one. Shooting! I'm gonna go over all the ins and outs of weaponry in the next video, so just stay tuned.